So welcome back to the channel. On your way in, hit that like button, throw a subscription in there. Really appreciate it. So if you're like me, black man in America, you've heard the term, you're intimidated, you're insecure, and followed by a laundry list of things that you may not have had any insecurity about. But it's a common type of thing, and I want to dive into that a little more with this video. So let's take a look.
A lot of you men are insecure as hell, and I've realized that you're insecure when a woman is pretty educated and knows how to articulate themselves, and they come from a good background, a loving family, grew up pretty privileged, I would say. A lot of men have issues with that because sometimes men feel intimidated because it's like, oh, can I provide that future for this woman? And then they start to call you a gold digger, and then they start to call you all of these names. And then at the end of the day, it's just like, can you really be a gold digger if you're just want to continue the life that your parents made you accustomed of?
I don't think you're a gold digger if you for wanting things. But if someone else provided that lifestyle for you, can that person continue to provide that? It's one thing from you to go from your family to your father to another person. If you're going to find someone that can do those same things, then I think it's probably best that you look for people in that same sort of community, that same people that have the same type of upbringing. If you are accustomed to what it's like being in a two-parent household, then maybe the people you date should also come from a two-parent household. Or if you are accustomed to coming from affluence, then you may need to date someone that was also in affluence. Otherwise, when you go and think that every man on the planet can do the same thing or should do the same thing as your father, that becomes where we have sort of an issue. And I don't think it's, to be fair, I don't think it's insecurity. I think we're living a realistic path, or not. I don't want to say your path isn't realistic, but we're living a different path where in our world, we're struggling or we're doing okay or we're trying to do X, Y, and Z. And when we meet you and we like what we see, we may try to pursue, and then you come and say, well, I need these things. If I say, hey, I can't meet that, and I think that would be the mature thing to say, I can't meet that, right? Just best of luck. Find what you find, whatever you can find. I can't meet that. I'm just not, currently equipped to do that. And you go about your business. It's not insecurity, it's realism. And I know that's really not what's happening. You're engaging with people and you guys are getting close, you guys are getting intimate, and then some of those disparities become real things. So I know that, yeah, it's a lot of us are insecure about where we come up short. But I think instead of us coming out here and pointing it out and pointing the finger constantly, you need to date, when we hear as men, you need to date on your level. Okay, women, you should also date on your level. But if your level, keep in mind, if your level is one that was artificially created by your father should set the standard, should show you how you should be loved, how you should be treated. That isn't necessarily a financial thing. If you turn away a good man that loves you, not the same, but in accordance to how your father would want you to be loved, is that not more important? Then we hear this other thing a lot, that I watched my father or watched my grandfather do this, and this. And then in the same breath, we can see rents going up, groceries going up, tariffs, inflation. We can understand that life is more expensive for our generation, that inflation is a thing that never really gets pulled back. When's the last time you saw gas go back down to, you know, 59 cents, a gallon? Have you ever seen that? No, what happens is, and I don't want to go on my conspiracy rant, right? But let's just go on an economic one, right? Because we love math, we love data. Once you get accustomed to paying for something, it rarely retracts, because the corporations and companies and the government itself says this is now revenue and you are used to paying for that. Why do I need to retract it? You have forego this, that, or that, or you've just debted yourself further to our system. And you're paying for it. These are necessities you have to pay for. Your car insurance has gone up. The price of your car has gone up. The interest you pay on this has gone up, and you don't bat an eye. Or you do complain, but you don't really complain. You don't complain like the French in the streets. You don't do that. For a country born in revolution, we don't really vote like that. Going off the tangent though, right? Please don't report me to any government watchdog agency. But the point is, when you become accustomed to a certain way of life, that is from a generations and the comparison of the generations before us. We know it's cheaper. The house my father bought is a duplex. He bought it for I think $83,000. $83,000, like in the 1980s. Do you think it's worth 83 now? You think I could do something like that now? I mean, yeah, I've done something like that, but this is not the majority case. This is not how most of it happens. If you don't like, a lot of things become outside of your control. They're literally market forces. So the generation before after us, they just may be born into a bad generation. Anyone born into Jordan's generation, you could have been great. There's a whole host of players you will never really know because they were born into the wrong generation. Same thing with Kobe, same thing with Steph, same thing with LeBron. That's just how it happened. So if you expect a man to do what your father did because you came accustomed to what your father did for you, that's great. Become accustomed for how your father taught you how to be loved, not how much he spent on his mother, on your mother. Let's finish this up.
Like, what's the problem with wanting to be with somebody that you can have a good life, that you can send your kids to private school, that you can go on vacation whenever you want? I don't think there's an issue with that, but a lot of you men are insecure. How do you men?
There's no issue with that. There's absolutely no issue with that. If you want that dream, then right now, realistically, you have to work. You have to come and help me work for that. You can find someone that loves you the right way, and then say, okay, I want our kids to go to private school. I want to go on vacation whenever you want. Cool. This is the plan. This is how we're going to do it together. But if it's just about the monetary thing that a generation before did, you may end up finding yourself waiting forever, or hopefully waiting for Jerome Powell or the next Fed chair to start cutting rates and the economy to go back into a completely positive direction. All relations with international relations are great. There's no backlash for tariffs. Your love shouldn't be economically dependent as much as it is. I know money, you need money. I'm going to first want to say, yes, you need money, but you need a bit more realism attached to the money. Okay, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it.